Hello and welcome to the Beautifully Bear podcast. I'm Shelby Coughlin, the owner and founder of Beautifully Bear, and I'm joined by my special guest, Rachel Smith. I'm so excited to have her here with me today.
Hey,
Hello.
happy to be
I
here.
know, I'm so excited. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yes, today we're going to be discussing taboo topics amongst women. So we have compiled a pretty great list, I feel like, of
Yeah.
topics that do not get discussed amongst women enough or don't get discussed, I guess, in the right light, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so first on our list of topics is shaving and body hair. And Rachel, you know a little bit
Oh,
more about
yeah.
this department than me, I feel like, working in.
Yeah, so once upon a time, I worked in a laser hair removal clinic and I got to talk to a lot of different clients about their body hair and I learned a lot. Like for example, I had one client who didn't even realize that other women had areola hair. Had no clue.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she was probably almost 30 and she had had a complex like her whole existence about that. And I'm like, "Oh no, girl.
It's
People got areola
everybody for the
hair."
most part, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if they don't have it there, they got it on their belly, they got it on their feet, they got it,
Right.
and there are so many women that don't realize that. And I really think it's because people are shaving it or plucking it or just not talking about it because who wants to say, "Hey, I got chin hair," because I do.
Yeah. I know. I get like 4 chin hairs and I have to pluck them
Yeah,
every month.
yeah, they exist. And
Or
if
like hair on
I
your nipples. I'm like,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that was a thing until I was in my 20s.
yeah,
I just shaved it because I was like, nope, this is
got rid of
weird.
it. Right, exactly. You're like, "This is I don't like this. I'm gonna get rid of this. Nobody else has this. Why should I have?"
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like I was in second grade, second or third grade, and I went to like a birthday party and I hadn't shaved my legs. It wasn't a thing yet for me at this point. My
Mm,
mom was like, "You don't need to shave. Your hair's blonde." And I was like,
yeah, God.
"Okay."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like on someone's back we're getting ready to do the chicken thing in the pool at this little pool
Oh,
party. And this girl
uh-huh.
goes, "Ew, you don't shave your legs?"
See, yep.
I went home and shaved my legs. I shaved my whole body. Was bleeding
Oh, bless you.
everywhere.
Oh,
And my mom was like, "Oh my God, what have you done? What is this
oh
massacre happening?"
no.
But it gave me such a complex about my hair that it was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
she has said something, so other people must be thinking something."
Yeah. Yeah. So it's gotta be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't belong on my body.
And I also feel like you don't have to shave. I think that's a
You really
secondary
don't.
thing that doesn't get talked about. Like,
Absolutely.
so many women I know are like, "No, I have to shave every day." And I'm like,
Yep.
"But you don't have to if you don't
Not
want to." I mean,
really. Right. Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
it's
And if you do
totally
shave every day, that's not comfortable. I
exactly.
mean, really, like razor burn. It's a real thing,
Yes.
you know.
Irritation from the razor.
Absolutely. Yeah. And ingrowns and everything else. It's just, which, I mean, it's not cute, but everyone's going to have it.
Yeah, 100%. And I swear the little serums you get, like,
It doesn't work.
they don't work.
It
I'm like,
doesn't work.
"What am I putting on my body?
Yeah,
It's not helping
absolutely.
anything."
Absolutely. And, it's amazing what women will do to get rid of it, like laser hair removal.
Yeah,
It works, which is cool. But, if you're willing to spend like thousands of dollars,
yeah,
yeah.
on getting it
So
removed.
on getting it removed, yeah. But even, talking about other like hair uncomfortable topics, like the PCOS, for example, there were a lot of women who had facial hair and like older women, and they, in their 60s or something, and they had such a confidence issue because they would always have their head down. They wouldn't ever be able to like hold your head up and be a confident individual.
Yeah,
And like that sucks.
it does so much. And I feel like, especially with people who have PCOS, like you tend to have darker hair, you tend to
Mm-hmm.
grow longer hair in certain areas. Like I have, I call it like my happy trail, it's like right
Yeah.
underneath my belly button, but
Yeah.
it's such dark hair.
Right.
And I've just shaved it every day, like
Yep.
religiously. When I'm in the shower, it's coming off.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that that was a thing for other women until I started doing more research on PCOS. And I'm like, wow, this is such a normal thing. And so many women have PCOS or
Right.
have it and don't know that they have it.
Right.
I feel like especially older women too probably don't know because the research
Yep.
when they were in their prime age to be diagnosed was just not there.
Exactly. Yep.
Like my
not their
mom
whole life.
firmly believes that she has PCOS and has never been diagnosed, but she has every single symptom that I have.
I mean, hell, she probably
Yeah,
does.
honestly.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
just doesn't get talked about enough, and
Mm-mm.
like the side effects of it and how it actually affects you. And
Right,
I mean,
right,
not even to like mention getting into like the infertility side of PCOS and how that affects women in and of
right,
itself.
right.
And nobody wants to admit that out loud. Like I did not want to admit that out loud, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, infertility in itself is a taboo topic because what woman wants to, admit that a big thing like of being a woman that they're having an issue with. Like you're a woman, so you are born and you are to multiply,
Right.
or whatever. Like me personally, I'm having infertility issues. It's not cool to say, it doesn't feel great, but it is a reality,
Yeah.
and it is hard to not feel a bit broken,
Mhm.
Like it's a big thing for women. So, not to say every woman has to have a child, but no, it's not a warm and fuzzy feeling to say it out loud, and so people don't want to talk about it,
No, they
and
don't.
that makes it more isolating, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I do feel like it's an isolating topic. And then not only do people not want to talk about it, you don't want to talk about it because it like can be a very sensitive topic at times.
right, right.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, essentially, like you were saying too, we especially when you're wanting a child and you're in those stages of infertility, you're like, this is what my body's supposed to be doing,
Right.
and it's not doing
Right.
that.
Am I broken?
Right. What's wrong with me? Or,
Right.
you start questioning why you feel like maybe you feel like you deserve this even. I feel like
Right.
that's a place I was in for a really long time
Yeah.
with when we were struggling to get pregnant in the beginning stages of that. And it was just like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't help when you have Facebook and Instagram where
Oh yeah.
everybody posts their announcements. And
Mm-hmm.
very rarely do you actually see people post about the saddening
Yeah.
side of that, Like
Exactly.
I've known 3 or 4 people recently who announced their pregnancies and lost
Yeah.
their babies, and you
Yeah.
never heard a single word about it. Not, I respect their privacy,
Right.
whatever, but
Right.
again, that goes into that people don't talk about that. So nobody
Mm-mm.
even I feel like so many people don't realize how unfortunately normal it is
Right.
to go
Right.
through that.
Absolutely. And more women have miscarriages and than they even realize,
Yeah,
if you don't even know you're pregnant and then, and you miscarry, like that it happens way more often.
it does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then in like PCOS, like people who have PCOS been diagnosed tend to go through miscarriages quite often and just
Mm-hmm.
have no idea
Mm.
unless they just happen to test positive on a
Yeah,
test.
yeah, exactly.
And it's just, I don't know, it's so like
Yeah.
heartbreaking to me.
Yeah.
And then so many people are just suffering with it completely alone.
Just quiet. Yeah, yeah, because no one, I mean, who wants to bring it up?
Right.
But if it's happening to you, then why not bring it up to someone you trust?
Yeah.
So maybe you can find some kind of,
Mm-hmm.
relatable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh,
I know.
well, speaking of pregnancies and such, let's talk about going to the OBGYN.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
The treat for all women.
Oh, yes. When did you go to the OBGYN for the first time? I'm
Oh
curious.
my God. It was later in my life. I think I was in my early 20s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, because I was terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I went, funny enough, is because a guy wanted me on birth control. So that was
He
why I
wanted
went.
you on birth control?
Yeah,
Oh, we
yeah.
love
Isn't that
that.
nice? I know, it's
Mm,
so not selfish.
not at all.
So yeah, but it got me to the doctor, so
Yes,
that was pretty cool. The organs were fine.
the organs
Um,
were fine.
but but yeah, no, I mean, like, I've met a fair amount of women who, they don't go to the OB because they don't want to show their body,
Yeah, it feels
and
weird to show your body.
right, absolutely. I mean, it's your private spot,
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and it's definitely not private when you're at the doctor.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Especially when they put that light down. I'm like,
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
that?
Right, I know. Take me to dinner. Like
Yes.
I
You have a drink back there for me or
Exactly.
something?
Exactly. Oh, it's great. Yeah, no. The OB, God bless. Yeah.
I've probably been 100 times, and I think each time I go, I'm still like, it's like the first time
Yeah.
almost, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yep.
I'm like, can we like put some color in here, like warm this space
Yes,
up,
yes,
light a
exactly.
candle,
Right.
dim the lights,
Yeah. That's funny.
set the
We
ambience.
need ambiance, right?
Yes,
Exactly. Where's my oil?
right.
Where's all the essential oils?
Can we use some like warming gel this time?
Yes, please. My
Because
God.
I've like had the warming jelly once, and then the rest of the time it's been cold, and I'm like, I think I'm getting gypped on this
Yeah,
end of the
yeah,
deal.
exactly. Yeah, this is not what I paid for.
But I do feel like that is for sure something that's taboo amongst women. Like I've
Yeah,
met so many women who are like 25 to 30 who are like, I've never been.
which is
And I'm
wild.
like, what? And some of them are like, yeah, I just get my birth control prescription
Which
online.
is even more wild.
And I'm like,
Like, that's not safe.
okay.
Yeah, that shouldn't even, I don't even think that should be legal. Like,
Yeah.
that seems, yeah, because birth control could really mess with your body.
Yeah, it can mess with your hormones tremendously.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
first doctor I went to put me on birth control. My first OBGYN immediately puts me on birth control. And then, like 2 years later, they said, oh, you shouldn't be on birth control.
What?
And so sorry, we shouldn't have put you on this because of my PCOS. They were
Oh
like,
my
oh, yeah,
God.
we've actually like kind of hurt your chances of getting pregnant for even longer.
Oh,
And I
that's
was like,
awesome.
we love that.
That's
That
great.
is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
super. Okay, yeah, get me off now.
And then every time I've seen a doctor since then, they're always like, oh, yeah, that's a little different. Maybe let's change this or that up. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think finding a good OBGYN, doing your research on that, there's tons.
Yes,
There's tons out
absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of them have really good bedside manner. Don't see a man if you don't want to see a man.
Yeah, I'm not about having a guy for my doctor.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
really do prefer a feminine doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about it. I don't know.
I went to Fertility Associates, love them so much, but I saw a man doctor, and because of like past triggers and things like that for
Mm-hmm.
me, I kept trying to tell myself, you can see a man doctor, it's really just in your head.
Yeah.
And I ended up having like a horrible like reaction right there in the
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah.
and old me would have just flighted out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to like look at the nurse and I was like, look, this is what's happened to me in my past. Okay.
That's
And
huge.
this is a trauma response right now. And I
Yeah.
want you to know that
Yeah.
I'm not upset, but my body does not know how to react to this. So
Mm-hmm.
just for reference. But even in that moment, it occurred to me by their reaction that that's not a topic that gets discussed
Right.
amongst them at all. Like
Right.
they were so shocked that I brought that to them. And then like I could tell they were kind of like trying to like baby me after that moment
Mm-hmm.
because I've now just
Like
laid
outed
it all.
yourself. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh gosh, my anxiety just made me word vomit that to you. That's
Right.
fantastic. But saying that out loud and then just kind of like, okay, well, now they know
Yeah.
I'm not upset. This is just how I react. This is
Yeah.
a trigger for me.
Which really they should have that in like a questionnaire,
I
quite
know.
honestly. Like that I think that that would be huge
I
to
know.
make the whole experience a lot easier for everyone.
100% agree. Because I feel like
Mhm.
and there's so much science behind this, like your body, your muscle memory to
Yeah.
things. And just in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I feel like that should be something we can say to our medical
We
providers,
should.
and we should be able to be open to them and lay those things out on the line.
Right.
And I mean, it took a lot in that moment to just say it out loud. So I was like, thank you
Mhm.
guys for not making me feel stupid
Yeah, no, that's
going
huge
forward.
though. Like really, like that's a big step to just be like, okay, look, this is what's going on. Like that's
Yeah.
a yeah,
It's the therapy for
that's
me.
massive.
It's
Yeah,
the
it's the
therapy.
therapy for me.
So let's talk about sex.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Mhm.
So, taboo topics for women revolving around sex. I feel like it doesn't get
Ooh.
talked about
Yeah.
in our younger ages,
Absolutely
especially.
not. Oh my gosh. When I was young, oh, so it is awkward. But when I was young, my mom, well, I started having sex at a really young age, and I was raised Catholic, so we actually had to sign oh God, abstinence, like a contract, like saying that I wouldn't have sex. That didn't work clearly.
Right.
But anyhow, so I had sex with this boy, and can't remember how old I was, but I put the condom in my pajama pocket, and like the wrapper, whatever. And my mom found it, and she was like, "Do we need to have a talk?" I'm like, "No, we don't.
Absolutely not.
We do not." And do we need to take you to the doctor for birth control? No, we do not. Like, this is fine. You're weird. Get away.
We're not doing this.
Yeah. And so even from the young age, like parents, if they don't come at their child in an open way, that's just how it's going to be painted
Right. It's
for
so
the like
closed off for the child.
right, exactly. And then that just sets the tone for like the rest of, their existence until
Yes.
they finally become kind of okay with talking about it.
Yeah. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it could definitely be something uncomfortable for maybe, parents to talk to their kids about. But I very much feel like, and you can correct me if you feel different on this, but I feel like boys get it off a little bit easier on this. Like,
Yeah.
even in movies from like the 80s, you see it like, oh, we got to have the talk with them. But I'm
Yep.
like, at
Yeah.
what point are the girls ever getting like serious talks about sex and
Right.
what it entails and what it means?
Right.
You
Right.
know? Because I
Yeah.
feel like, honestly, it's like to the extreme of, oh, just watch some porn for a
Yeah.
boy. And then
Yeah.
for a girl, it's like, protect your body and save it for marriage, period.
Yeah. That's
And,
it.
but then all these boys are pressuring you to want to do all these
Yup.
things. And you're like, I
Yup.
don't know anything about this because no one's teaching me
No one has
anything.
said any. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that, and two, like, and this might be a little rough to talk about with kids or young women, but like, sex isn't just for procreation. Like,
Right.
sex is for pleasure, and
Yes.
there's more to it than that.
Yeah. I feel like maybe kids, teenagers, young adults would have safer sex
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
they maybe understood it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think so. And like, man, if if I learned from a younger age that sex can be like pleasurable and not like just so very serious, I
Yeah.
think that would make it a lot easier for conversating about, because even, I mean, my God, I'm 35 and I'm still like, ooh, sex. I
Yes,
don't
I
know.
do. I do.
It's so funny. Like whenever people bring up topics, trying to be like talking about freaky things and things, like I can talk about freaky things, that's fine. But really, I'm white bread. Like
White
I
bread.
am, I'm not that exciting. So,
I feel this. I feel
but
this in my soul.
but yeah. So like whenever what is it? The After Dark Wednesdays or whatever,
Yeah.
whenever I see a little post, I'm like, "Oh God." Like how many I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I can only divulge so much.
I agree. I agree so much with that. I feel like sometimes even when we're looking at the After Dark post for the Wednesday one, I'll crack myself up because it also like laughing is such a response for me to things.
Yeah,
So I'll just
nervous
start.
laugh.
Yeah, it's a nervous laugh. I'm like, I'm actually enjoying this so much, but like
Right.
my body only knows how to laugh
Yeah.
about it.
Yep. Hmm.
And that's how we're going to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like if I had known from a younger age that sex could really open me up to my sexuality once I figured out where I wanted to be with that and what that
Hmm.
meant for me specifically, and that I did have more control over my body than I thought,
Yeah.
maybe I could have felt differently about sex at a younger age,
Yeah.
Because I feel like really up until I was like 24, 25, sex wasn't something that was just necessarily enjoyable for me
Hmm.
for a numerous amount of factors,
Yeah.
of course,
Right.
considering trauma, etc. But I never really truly was able to embrace my sexuality until I was much older, really until I got into boudoir
Yeah.
and learning more about sexuality just through that. And I was like, oh wow, like
Hmm.
this can be about so much more than having a child. This can be about connection and really leaning into each other. And I think that really kind of turned our sex life around from kind of like, okay, we're going to do the same couple things
Yeah.
and then that's it,
Right.
to like, okay, we can lean into each other. We can slow down a little bit. Like
Yeah.
everything's not a race.
Right. Everything's not a race. That's a good way to put it.
Yes. I went through a period of my life where I was looking for kind of connection wherever I could get it.
Yep. Amen.
And I found that through the church because
Mhm.
I was homeschooled through high school. I never went to high school. Um, and ended up just graduating with my GED when I was 17. And so during that time period, trying to make friends, trying to have
Mhm.
relationships, build connections, have these things in my life because I wasn't getting that from school or neighborhood sources. And so I found myself very wrapped up in church, which not a negative thing, if that's your thing, I support you, love you, amazing. But for me and my experience was that I already had such a self-hatred towards my body and
Mm,
being told that I was basically horrible and that I needed to save myself for marriage and
mm-hmm,
that if I did anything against that I was basically going to spend the rest of my life in hell.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so then all of this pressure, but the none of the boys in the youth group,
Oh,
wanted to save themselves for marriage.
yeah,
That's for damn sure.
yeah, yeah.
And so all of the girls, like I feel like half of them were wearing purity rings, half of them were saying they were being pure, weren't being
Mm-hmm,
pure, and there was
mm-hmm.
so much confusion around that and so much like misguidance in that situation. So really like I definitely had sex before marriage
Mm-hmm.
and found myself literally thinking that I was a horrible, awful sinner
Yep, right.
and could not enjoy sex. It could not be fun for me. It could not be
Mm,
something that I liked doing or enjoyed doing.
mm.
And now here I am, thinking I'm just this monster because I had sex
Yeah,
before marriage.
right, right.
And I'm not. Like,
No, absolutely.
I'm not at all. I'm allowed to have that power. I'm allowed to enjoy my sexuality. And I feel like so many women don't realize that they're allowed to love that part of themselves
Right,
without it having to be something like, oh, I make babies.
right, right, right. Which that is a huge part of boudoir for me is like I can step into it and just relish in my femininity.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
which
how
is
I
why it's
feel
so
doing
therapeutic.
shoots. These last couple shoots have been so therapeutic for me and just being able to really like get in front of the camera and show off myself because so often I'm just doing that for other people and
Mm.
I feel like it's actually been the best thing for me mentally is doing these shoots again because I'm like, "Oh my god, you are a hot ass bitch.
Yes,
Okay? Keep
yes.
being sexy, keep doing
Yeah.
you, boo."
I got
And
it.
so like that's helped me so much and so when like I see your comment and I'm like, "Yes, it does. It really does that for us, doesn't it?"
Absolutely.
So let's talk about starting your period.
Oh boy. Yeah.
We
All
love
right.
that.
Yeah. Man, I remember the day I started my period. It was so anticlimactic. It was on my cousin's birthday. I woke up at my grandma's house and I was like, well, I don't have a pad. I guess I'll use a tampon, whatever. And I called my mom and she's like, well, you're a woman now. Like,
Oh, well, you're a woman
oh,
now.
thanks. That's it.
That was the
So,
conversation.
yeah.
Oh.
Like, all right.
She is a woman of few
I
words.
know, exactly. Literally.
She's like, this sounds great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay.
Figure it out.
Right, right, exactly.
The first time I tried to use a tampon was just tragic.
Oh
It was so
no.
tragic. I will never forget it. It just hung out. Like I couldn't
Oh
I
no.
couldn't figure out like how to work it and
Oh, that's
I was
yeah.
too prideful to admit I couldn't figure out how to work it, so I continued to walk around with it like that.
Oh, ouch.
That was a mistake all on
Yeah,
its
that sounds
own.
painful.
And then I
Sounds
was a
really
pad
painful.
gal for years because I was like, I'm not.
Not gonna deal with
I'm
that.
not fucking with these
I don't
things.
blame
Like
you.
they are not my
Yeah,
problem.
they're no problem.
They will not be my problem. Uh
Yep.
I wasn't prepared for what was going to happen to me though. Like I knew I was going to bleed, I knew that was what happened and all my friends had started kind of everybody was kind of getting their periods and becoming a woman.
Yeah.
And when I got mine, I was like, "What is this massacre happening?
I am bleeding out.
Help! Somebody help me!" I think my mom wasn't ready either. She was very much like, "Whoa!" Like I
Yeah,
wasn't prepared for this to be the day that
right.
this happened. So let me give me a second,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. I'm not ready for my baby to be a woman.
No, and I feel like this is such a good topic, and I'm like trying in my head to start wrapping my head around the fact that in probably like 5 to 7 years, my child will have a period, and I'm gonna have this conversation,
Yeah,
and I want to
yeah,
make sure that she's informed.
yeah.
Like if this happens at school, this is our protocol. This
Absolutely.
is
Yep,
what happens, and
yep.
I got you,
It's
and
our
like
game plan.
yeah, I will
Yeah.
come get you. We'll go get ice cream, and
Yes.
we'll have a great day.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I think that
like
would
it's
be
gonna be a
huge.
good time.
My God, if only.
I know.
My God, that would be amazing.
I feel like, and then I know several people who started their period and didn't tell their moms. for like a
What?
while. Yeah. They had
Oh.
like older sisters, so
Oh,
they just like
okay.
stole their like pads and tampons, and
Uh-huh.
they were just so ashamed of their
Yeah.
body
Yeah.
and it changing and doing different things.
Mm,
And I just, it makes me so sad that like these
yeah.
things are just not spoken about. And I feel
Hmm.
like really an old part of me would have been like, oh, well, those mothers should have taught them that. But I'm like, if you really date it back, like, did their mothers talk to them
Yeah.
about it? Like, their generation,
Probably
I feel
not.
like, was
Even more
even
closed mouthed.
worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, my mom's told me so many stories about things her mom didn't talk to her about. And I'm like, holy crap, I thought we
Ugh.
didn't cover all the things. But wow,
Right.
y'all really, like, you just were left to figure it all out by
Oh, that's so
yourself.
scary to think about.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah.
But that's like carried on through generations, I feel like, of
Absolutely.
women just thinking these things are not appropriate to talk about and we need to just shut up and
Yep.
deal with our shit. And women have to deal with a lot of
A
shit.
lot of shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad we're bringing light to all the shit that
All the
women have to
shit.
deal with because this list could have really been like
We got a
six
lot.
pages, honestly. Okay, so let's talk about consent.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Did your
Mm-hmm.
mother, I'm going to go out on a limb. Did she have
Yeah.
this talk with you?
Oh no, no, no. I mean, like the whole idea of consent. I feel like for me is I didn't really learn about that until a bit later in life. You know,
Yeah.
because when okay, so with kids, for example, being forced to like hug people or sit on your grandpa's
Yes.
lap, stuff like that. And if you don't want to, no, you have to.
Right, you don't really have a choice.
Right, exactly. And so that was my experience at a younger age. And, like there's not really like that choice. And so I didn't learn about being like hard, fast boundary until later in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel that.
yeah.
That is such a good point with that too, though, with kids. And I feel like that's super generational as well. I feel
Yeah.
like we're coming into a generation where people are allowing their kids to make more of a choice on who they want to hug, who they want to,
Yes,
like, I don't make Millie hug anybody or do anything that
that's
she
awesome.
doesn't want to do because I'm like, it's your body
Right,
and nobody can force you to do anything that you don't want to do.
right.
But it's almost like at a young age, you're groomed to believe that if they're older than you, more powerful than you, a little bit bigger than
Mm-hmm.
you have to listen to them and you
Yeah,
don't have a voice.
yeah, exactly.
And it happens, I feel like, almost subtly.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a gaslighting.
Yeah.
Like you're just this is how you're raised. This is your conditioning.
Yep.
Yep.
This is it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you don't want to go stay at that family member's house, but they love you and they really want you to. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Okay.
but are you not hearing me? Like, I
Right. This is
really don't
me.
want to,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then you're scared to say anything because then you're like, well, are they even going to believe me?
Yep.
Because clearly you're not even believing me right now as I'm trying to
Right.
tell you no.
Right. Right.
That's a major issue, I feel like. 100%.
Mm-hmm. And it just creates the foundation to build off of.
Yeah. And then that flows into how you give consent in other areas of your life too. Like your boss treats you like shit. Well, now you're consenting to that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
By not doing anything, you're technically just accepting that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And I know we talked about this off camera or off tape, whatever, but the whole idea of sex with it, like consenting with sex, like not saying yes doesn't mean you're saying yes,
Yeah.
like that whole gray zone of
You've been coerced for an hour and a half
right,
and
right.
he's so sad
And now you're
and
guilt tripped into
right.
it and
Eventually you don't say yes, but you don't say no anymore. But you've
right,
said no 18 times.
right,
And
exactly.
he's pushing and pushing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't mean you're cool with it.
Yeah.
It just means you're sick of it.
The
Like,
first time I ever had sex, that was my experience was no, I don't want to do this yet. Like this is really
yeah.
not the stage I feel like we should be in.
Yeah.
He was a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I have to do this in order for us to continue having a
Yep.
relationship. And we were kissing and like basically getting every step before that. But I was like,
Mhm.
no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Now here,
Yep.
all of a sudden, I'm frozen in time
Yep.
and we're having sex.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess I technically consented to this because I'm not trying to fight,
Right.
you know? But
Yeah.
then afterwards, after he's, had his 2 seconds of fame,
Yep.
I'm sad and feel like a piece of me has just been
Yep.
taken that I
Yep.
didn't say yes to having
Right.
taken.
Yep. Yep. That resonates with me. That's very similar to what I
Yeah,
experienced. Yeah. Yeah. It's fucked up.
it is. It's so
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
And then, like, given the circumstances with my biological father and the years of abuse that I had endured prior to that point, it was just such a like, okay, here's what we're doing. And my
Mm-hmm.
body was right back in that same place of like, you have no control.
Yep.
This you're not in control of this situation, and that your body is not yours.
Right.
And you should be lucky that someone does want to be
That
with you.
someone really cares
Yeah.
about cares, quote unquote.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, sickening fact about the whole situation is I later find out he'd been sleeping with other people. So like all these guilt
Screw
trips
that
and
dude.
manipulation, gaslighting,
Mm,
all of it for what?
mm,
For what?
right.
Because
What
you were
was the
already
point of that?
getting what you wanted. You just wanted
Right.
more of it.
Right. Just a different. Yeah. Mm-mm. Screw that dude.
Yeah. Screw that. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's the way a lot of boys were also raised too. Like they didn't have good consent talks with their
No.
mothers or fathers to learn and understand that like when she says no that first time, that is
That's it.
no.
Yep. Yep.
You don't ask again. You don't keep pushing.
Mm-mm.
Like,
You just listen and accept that,
yeah,
and that's it.
that first answer was the
That's the
answer.
real answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And if she changes her mind, cool, but that's the answer.
I feel like there's so many women too who are almost like have asked themselves. I've had several recently say to me like, I don't even know if what I went through was actually sexual assault or not because
Mm-hmm.
eventually I caved. Eventually I just stopped saying no and just laid there and let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't really an active participant in what
Mm-hmm.
was happening. Like,
Right. Yeah.
and I feel like the fear of being sexually assaulted too, in more of an aggressive manner, is
Mm-hmm.
scary for women. So if I at least give up control in
Right.
that moment, then I'm hypothetically protecting myself
Right.
from something else happening.
Right. Because yeah,
It could escalate.
possibly. Right. Right. Which, I mean, yeah, I definitely think that counts as sexual assault, like for sure. And I think that there's likely women that don't want to admit to that because they don't want to feel like they have that happen,
Yeah,
Like that's a shitty reality to have
it
to
is.
accept. Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like so many women really just disassociate from
Oh,
the
yeah.
time that it happened, and then they're no longer even remembering that that even happened to them until one day they're in a grocery store
Yep.
and something reminds them and they're like, oh shit, this happened to me. Because now your brain can finally say, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can wake up and realize what
Mm-hmm.
happened to us.
Right.
And now you're crying in the middle of Kroger
Yeah.
because you just had
Right.
this realization,
Brain woke up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so crazy to me.
Yeah. No, it really is. Absolutely.
So let's talk about shapewear. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's turn our topics a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. What was your first experience
Oh man.
with shapewear?
When I was young, so the specific memory that pops out for me was I was getting ready for prom and I had this prom dress, super cute. It was like beaded and pink and like amazing. And I had it on and my mom was like, yeah, I can see your stomach. Like, we need to get you something for that. And so it went from me feeling like real hot, to being
Beautiful.
like, well, now I have the stomach I have to worry about. And I remember wearing shapewear to prom and just not being able to breathe and having to go to the bathroom and like rolling it down just so that I can feel comfortable for a little bit, only to pull it back up,
Yes, having
you
to
know.
adjust and adjust.
Right, right. And like just absolutely the worst. And of course, that leaves a permanent memory, like a core memory,
Mm-hmm.
like any bulge and things. It just, you're like, okay, that's wrong. I'm going to
Yep.
need to smooth that out, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
And then you start picking your body apart for
Hmm.
years after that
Yeah,
moment because now this is a core memory for your brain to
yeah,
think, oh, well,
absolutely.
we can't look like that because
Right,
that's wrong.
right, right. Which is jacked up.
It is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you can be beautiful. I mean, you can be beautiful in anything that you wear, you know? And like
Yeah.
wearing confidence is the best thing that you can wear,
That's it.
honestly.
Yeah, that's what you need. Just a bunch of confidence,
Yeah.
really. I mean, truly. And it's so funny. So, a recent experience of mine, so a friend of mine sent me a picture of her in an outfit, and she was like, "Do I look cute in this?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, you look cute," you know? And she's like, "I just don't know about my belly, you know, whatever." And I'm like, "No, if you're gonna work the fupa, I'm gonna work my fupa." And so I get my fupa pants out, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah, we're gonna do this." And
Yes.
so the whole night was our fupa party.
I
Like, we
love this.
danced with our stomachs out. It was
Mm-hmm.
great.
All bodies are good
Yeah,
bodies.
exactly.
Yes.
And we're just like even pointing at it and just relishing in the fupa, and it was a very freeing experience.
I love that so much. Owning your own body, I feel like is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Even if you're at a point where you're like, "Oh, I maybe want to change this or something in the future," but like owning it in the moment is still so
Oh, it's
important.
huge. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And I mean that whole time at that party, I was like throwing down. I didn't give a damn about my body, and it
Yes.
was incredible.
You got to actually be in the moment.
Right, right, because
Because when you're thinking about all those
oh,
things,
it
you're not even
sucks.
in the moment
Yeah,
anymore.
no, mm-mm. No, you're just really just aware of everything involving your body.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't like any of this. And
Yeah, no. And I want to go home.
yes, I want to
Like,
crawl in a hole. Thank you.
right, right, exactly.
I'm just going to be in the corner. You'll
Right,
find me
right,
when you're done.
right. And you know, like with shapewear, I mean, there's so many women that wear it, and I think eh, I mean, if they want to, they want to, but it perpetuates the idea of beauty standard. Like
Yes.
you're like, okay, she's really hot. Look how smooth her body is,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And you don't think, oh, she's probably got like 3 layers of Spanx on. Like, you don't
Yes.
think about
That doesn't
that.
go through your
No,
mind
you
when you
think
see
like,
it.
damn, she's beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and it anyway. So it's kind of a catch-22 on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it if it makes them feel better, but it kind of makes you feel make it, I don't know. It can go either way.
I feel like at the same time, you should be able to feel good either way.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
that's really the bottom line for it is like if you want to wear shapewear to this event, but like you're also comfortable
Yeah.
not wearing it some other times
Yeah.
because you are a hot ass lady
Right.
and can't nobody tell you nothing
Absolutely.
and be her,
Yeah. Yeah.
own that.
Just own it. Right.
I used to wear a corset
Ah,
under my
yes.
boobs
Yeah.
because I would wear 3 bras and the
Nice.
corset was the only way I could hold the 3 bras up to make it
Mm.
look like I had boobs
Yeah.
because I am, hello, president of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee and proud of it these
Yeah.
days. So that's good. But I struggled with that for most of my life because everyone in my family has boobs.
Mm.
Everyone. My sisters have boobs. My mom has boobs, my grandmother, and then like they would mess with me about it
Oh,
and
come
talk
on.
about it like, "Oh, one day you'll get them."
Oh,
Like,
no. Get out of
and
here.
my one day never came. And so like it ate at me so badly because I was like, "Wow, like I don't look like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ugly,
Right.
and I felt like I was kind of trapped in a child's body. So I
Mm.
was like, "Well, I'm going to do what I can
Yeah.
to change this." And I literally did this for years. Like in the
Oh,
dead
man.
of summer,
Oof.
I would be wearing 3 bras
Mm.
with a freaking corset top tied around me to
Mm.
hold the 3 bras up in
Mm.
place.
Yeah. That's exhausting.
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it was a 2 cup size up bra from Victoria's Secret, another bra that had padding, and then a sports bra to kind of help compress a little bit of all that
Yeah.
padding.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
looked ridiculous. First of all, nobody told me. And
Oh.
second, it was just like constantly lying to myself because when I
Yeah.
would go home and I would take all that off by myself,
Mm-hmm.
I would be so sad. I'm
Yeah.
like, why can't I love my boobs?
Right. Right.
And ever since starting Boudoir, literally my job is to look at boobs. And for a little while there, I was like, wow, I really have small boobs. I want to get my boobs done. And I had made like this whole decision, went to an appointment, everything.
Mm.
But I sat down and I got really honest with myself and said, if you are going to get a boob job, the conditions for yourself are that you have to love your boobs now
There you
before
go.
you can get a boob job.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to do it to change myself, to love myself. I wanted to do it because it was something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So as of right now, we're working on loving
Yeah.
the boobs we have
Right.
and rocking
Absolutely.
rocking that out.
Yeah, which that makes sense too, because like if you're a lot of the time, I know for myself, if I'm dissatisfied about something and I'm like, well, when this happens, then I'll be happy. And that's just
Yes,
not going to happen, really.
100% feel that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I was about the boobs the whole time, was just, well, once I have that, my whole life will change,
Right,
you
right,
know?
right, right. Yeah, this is my golden ticket.
Yeah.
This is my golden titty.
But after, lots and lots of therapy, I'm starting to realize that the only thing that really truly has to change for me is my brain,
Your
my own
brain.
brain.
Yeah,
And past that, we can live our best life.
absolutely.
Maybe not every day is going to be the greatest,
I mean, of course
day in the
not.
world, but
Absolutely not. But
right.
I mean, come
We're
on.
not all peaches and sunshine now, but I feel like it's such a step in the right direction to getting there with my mental health before trying to make any big physical changes that I think are just going to,
Mm-hmm.
be my
Yeah.
magic ticket to the way I want to feel.
Right, right. No, it's all inside.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so many people who have surgeries, and then afterwards they're like, I don't feel any different.
Yeah, or opposite, like I feel worse. Like,
Yes. And you're like, oh God.
like, oh, geez, that was an expensive lesson. Like,
they, I like expensive lessons. And so I'm just going to like bow that one out for a little
right. I'm
bit.
good.
Okay. So let's talk about aging and natural aging.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Getting older.
Yeah.
Definitely not what we talk about.
No, yeah, because I guess no one wants to think that
Nobody
they're getting
wants
older.
to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
thinking that 29 is like your actual funeral and you're
Right.
dead after that.
Yeah, once you reach 30, suddenly you're going downhill, which is
Yeah.
fucking horrible to think about. And not true.
Not true at all.
Yeah, no.
Like I feel
Mm-mm.
like my 30s, I'm not quite there yet. I'm almost there, but I feel like are going to be my best years ever. Like I'm going to learn so much from my 20s and take it into my
Yeah,
30s and live my best life.
yeah, absolutely.
Like I
Yeah,
want to be the coolest fucking grown up ever that like just loves life through 30s, 40s,
yeah,
50s and like enjoys my life.
yeah,
I don't want to spend a lot of time, I guess, necessarily being negative about aging because
yeah.
that's definite. We can't
It's
change
gonna
that.
happen unless
Right.
you die. I
Unless you
mean,
die.
I mean, that's the option here.
Right. Got two choices, so.
Exactly. I heard a quote the other day where it was like, be thankful for wrinkles because it's taken time to actually have them appear. Like you have lived, like smile lines. That's from smiling. Like
Yes.
that's amazing, to
Mhm.
have that. I think it's phenomenal. I mean, it took time. That took a lot of effort to make those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have stories,
You do. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I love that. And I feel like just continually working on yourself too in your 20s and 30s as you're getting older, you're going to realize like how precious this life is, instead of
Hmm.
approaching it from such a negative standpoint of, oh, I'm just dying,
Right.
which granted,
Right.
I can't speak for everybody that's in that age range because I'm clearly not in that age range, but I feel like it's genuinely all mindset when it
Hmm.
comes to aging
Yeah, I
in a
think
lot of
so.
ways.
Yeah, I think so. Because some days I feel like I'm 82.
Yeah. I feel like I'm 82.
But, whatever.
Yes. It's them hips for me.
Right.
My hips are like, whoa,
My
honey,
bones.
you are 60. Like, you need to get a replacement or something. They're really messed up. I don't even know
Oh, bless.
what's happening there
Oh,
anymore.
well, we'll figure it out.
Yes. We'll go to the doctor. That's
Yeah,
an okay
go to
thing
the
to do. Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. I remember, though, like, when I was younger, like, a lot younger, like 10, 11, 12, I would listen to all the adults talking, because when
mm,
adults are talking, kids are quiet.
right.
Then
Yeah.
when I was a kid. And so I'm listening to them and it was like I can't even remember whose birthday it was. It might have been like an aunt or something, but she was talking about being 29 for the however manyth time. And I'm like,
Oh boy.
why
Yeah.
though?
Yeah.
Like enjoy your age.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear stories from your life and
Hell
tell me how the
yeah.
world has changed and
Yeah.
talk to me about what you learned in 40 years,
Right,
like
right, right. And also with the whole aging, like I love seeing women that have accepted their natural hair and let it go gray
same.
and like they just look majestic. I think
Mhm.
it is just phenomenal because you can't buy
Yes.
that. Like
You cannot.
like,
You can't fake it.
no, no. And I mean, like, I just think it's so beautiful. And so makes me a little sad when women are like, well, I have to keep dyeing my hair to cover up grays. I'm like, girl, you're like a silver fox.
You're like a silver fox. I know. I have several clients who have all gray hair and they've let it like
I
completely
love
go,
that.
and I love them so much. Like they are my faves,
Yes.
and I feel like they come in and they love themselves, and I am so here for
So good.
that, and I want to be just like that. I tell them all the time, I'm like, I'm going to be you when I grow up. Like I'm going to be doing boudoir shoots
Yes.
and living my best life when I'm 50, 60, 70 years old,
Yeah,
because I feel like it's too damn
it
short. And
really is.
nobody actually really gives that much of a shit about
Nope.
what your decisions are.
Nope. Really, they don't.
Like, even if they do talk about it, guess what? They're going to be on a new topic
Yep.
next week.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Which, I feel like definitely plays into the anxiety we have in our brains, that
Oh
tells us that
man.
everybody is thinking
Everyone's
all of
talking
these
about me.
things.
Everyone's thinking about this. And oh
Right.
God, it's so real.
Yes.
Sucks.
I feel like women too, like almost every woman I've talked to, I feel like struggles with that. Like that internal little voice that's like, this is happening right now and you should panic.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
should panic at this moment.
Yeah. I definitely think that people likely have more issues with anxiety than they want to talk about.
Yes. Yes. I
Mm-hmm.
need to get like all the statistics on anxiety, because I bet you like so many
Man.
women. Like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
large number, I'm confident.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, I know I'm definitely an anxious individual.
Yes.
Yep. Thank God for medication.
Yes. Thank God for medication and like not having to go to the grocery store anymore and ordering it.
Amen. Oh, wow. Amen.
That's the best thing in the whole world.
Thank God for my husband.
Yes.
He's like, I'll go. That's fine. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
thank you. Bless you.
You're a saint. You're an actual saint. I love you. Thank you.
Exactly.
I can't stand it. Like it triggers my anxiety so bad to go in there, especially if it's busy and I'm like, what if I'm in the way?
Yeah.
What if someone is irritated that I'm not going fast enough and
Yeah.
I can't find the thing I'm looking for and I'm
Right.
sorry?
Right. What if I forget and I have to walk back and forth like 5 times?
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I won't go back for it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
we're not walking back for the milk. Like I don't care. We
It's
can
gone. It's
click
lost.
list it to. And my husband, he doesn't have anxiety like that. So he's like, why don't we just walk back there? I'm like,
Right.
this is a daunting
Right,
task. Do you
right,
understand?
right. And if you go, then you're gonna leave me, and that's not gonna work.
Right. And now I'm alone.
And then I'm alone,
And
standing
I
here.
am like 4'11".
Yeah.
Okay. Someone could kidnap me.
Right. They
Okay.
probably think I'm trying to shoplift.
I
Like,
know.
no, Rachel.
I'm a grown woman, I swear.
Oh
Oh
God. Oh, it's
Lord.
so real. And like I do think that talking about anxiety and panic attacks and things like that is a taboo topic for women because
Certainly.
we're supposed to be strong, like
We're
have it.
supposed to be strong until they want to tell us we're weak.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is very true. Well, women, I feel like women are a little bit tougher on women than,
Yeah.
yeah,
Honestly.
yeah, yeah. Because dudes are like, what? It's fine, like,
Yeah.
but women are like, you know, come on,
Mm-hmm.
suck it up, buttercup.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
Because I feel like women go through so much. Like, so much emotionally, so much physically.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be so draining. But
Yeah.
we become so mentally strong because of it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of research to support that too, on how like active the woman's brain is and how much happens within a woman's brain in a day versus like the average male.
Mm.
It's insane.
I believe it. I totally believe it.
Like me and my husband were talking about this, and he was like, your brain literally goes 150 miles per hour.
Mhm.
And he's like, sometimes I can just shut my brain off. I'm like, I do not
Nope.
relate. I do not.
Nope.
I can't imagine being able to just say good night.
Yeah, no.
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 My medication certainly helps, but
Right.
sometimes even with that, like I'll find myself like, all I can think about is this,
The hamster wheel.
and 150 other things that are happening, and I'm blowing them all like up in my head. I can feel it, but I can't stop it.
No.
And then it's like we don't want to tell anybody around
Of
us.
course not, because
that
we'll look like
that's happening.
psychopaths.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be at the studio and I'm just like having a minute, and I'm like, I'll grab Shelby and Crystal, and I'm like, this is what's happening
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get to that point of telling other people out loud like what's happening. And
Yeah.
granted, not everybody gets that side of
Right.
me, but the people I'm close to, I'm like, I'm finally starting to feel that confidence of like, okay, I don't need y'all to tell me that all of these things are not happening
Yeah.
because first of all, I know they're not.
Right.
But second of all, my
Right.
brain's telling me they are.
Right.
So I
Right.
need you to just listen, and then we talk through it after that, and eventually I start feeling okay
And then I'm
again.
okay. Yeah. Right.
But how many years did I go not saying that
Yeah.
before getting to that place, you know? And how
Right.
miserable those years were of feeling like I still have to put on this smile
Paralyzed. Yeah.
and pretend like everything is happy right
Oof.
here. But on the inside of my head, I could quite literally die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I would do anything for it to stop
Yeah.
just for a minute.
Yeah. Yep. That
And
resonates with me.
nobody talks about it. Like I
Mm-mm.
don't, especially growing up, and maybe hopefully this next generation will have more education resources, will have more people talking about it that they'll listen to. But I feel like these ages right now, people in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on, like we didn't know. Like this was none of
Mm-mm.
this was talked about when we were kids. It
No,
was just you're
no.
being dramatic.
Right. Get it together. Like you're
Right.
fine. I mean, that's like when I was a kid, I told my mom, like, I really should go talk to somebody. Like I really think I should talk to somebody. And she's like, you're gonna get over it. Like, whatever. No, you're fine.
Like it's just a fluke thing you're going
Yeah,
through.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's not important. Like everybody goes through this.
Yeah.
Like, does everybody go through this? I don't know if everybody does.
I don't know. We've never talked about
I
it.
know,
So
exactly, exactly. Like, please, if you have, please tell me.
yes,
Like,
discussion would be
yeah, yeah,
grand.
exactly. Yep.
But see, even like that, like that wasn't something that she was probably taught
Mm-mm.
to talk about at
No.
all. So how the hell would she know to talk to you about it
Right.
in those moments? Because,
Right.
and it's just such a domino effect and it
It really
trickles
is.
down so badly.
Yep.
And I'm so thankful for all of the research and resources we have now to be able to like really heal and grow and like
Mm-hmm.
understand these things because I didn't understand none of this for most of
Mm-mm.
my life. Like,
No. And like I'm incredibly thankful for people that have gotten to the point of being open about talking about it, like or are accepting in whenever trying to communicate how you're feeling, because that's huge. I mean, like being able to talk about how you're feeling, especially with anxiety, is freeing.
yes, 100%.
Yeah, and like I had an experience with you at the retreat where I was like having an internal freak out, and I'm like, I gotta step outside, and I step outside, and it just so happens that you and Shelby also step outside, and I'm like, I'm freaking out, like I can't be in there right now.
But that's
So,
okay. Like, I love
yeah.
that. And I think, like, anxiety brains, we can find each other too a little bit. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you are my people.
Right, right,
Like,
exactly.
let's chat about this
Yeah,
right now because
let's
you'll
talk
get
about
it.
it. Right. Yep.
And I think it's like, I can't even remember. You had said something during one of your sessions, and I really should have written it down for today. But you said something to me during one of your original shoots. It was maybe your first or second one, and it was about anxiety. And I was like, oh my God, I love her. I love her so much, and we are going to be friends. Like, this is fantastic. Because it was like the way you had spoke about it that I was like, wow, she's like a safe person to be around. And this is when I was first like coming to the realization that I had like massive anxiety
Mm,
and was accepting that. And so you were actually one of the very first people that I realized had anxiety, but
mm,
also was like, it's normal.
yeah.
And so just a little
That
tidbit for
makes me
you.
happy. Makes my heart happy.
But I feel like it's definitely one of those things that when I've had a panic attack before, like I almost didn't even want to tell my husband that's what was
Yeah.
happening because
Yeah.
I'm like embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I should be able to pull it together
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can't.
Nope. Yep.
It's just not, it's not coming together for me. Like we were in the
Right.
car one day and I was driving and all of a sudden, I don't even remember what happened. Like something was going on in our lives and we were talking about it. He said something and then all of a sudden it was just like, it was like I had chills all over my entire
Mm-hmm.
body. I started to
Mm-hmm.
get hot and cold and
Mm-hmm.
couldn't figure out what was happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm having a panic attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the first time I ever like vocally told him that's what was
Mm.
happening. And at first
Mm-hmm.
he was like, whoa, it's happening right now with you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then after we sat and like talked about it, it wasn't as scary of a conversation as I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It's just getting the words out.
Yes.
Like
That's the
admitting.
hardest part.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like I can either vomit it out or I can't say it at all.
Right.
Like it's all coming or nothing is coming. It's
Yeah.
on or off.
Mm-hmm.
There's no trickle effect.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
All right, let's talk about loss of sexual drive with women.
Mm, that's a real thing.
Oh my gosh. It
Yep.
is such a thing.
Yeah.
I thought that something was wrong with me for like 10 years because I had like no sex drive.
Mm.
Like I would have sex with my husband.
Yeah. Yeah. But not be totally engaged.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not, it made me feel like something was massively wrong with me.
Mm-hmm. That's understandable.
Yeah, I
Like,
was like, and then after talking to my therapist and talking to several doctors, because of the trauma that I went through and the way that my body remembers that, that caused a lot because I would disassociate when I was touched in that way. So I didn't realize literally for most of our marriage, I was disassociating when we would have sex. And then after I started realizing, like, okay, these are the things that you can do to get back in your body in the moment, blah, blah, blah. Then I was like, I didn't even realize how to necessarily enjoy it past that point because it hadn't become such a practice
right.
to worry about myself during sex.
Right. You're
'Cause-
worrying about everything outside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then, I mean, like, he's happy at the end of it. So, like, I'm happy
So,
for him.
Yeah. He's happy. I'm happy. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you hear your friends talk about it and they're like, oh, I had the best sex ever. And I did this and I did that. And we tried these 18
Right.
positions. And
Right.
then all of a sudden I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm a vanilla fruitcake.
Right. I'm a vanilla fruitcake.
It's fine.
No, I totally get it. I mean, like the whole word horny, like, ooh, I'm so horny, like that can seem like a foreign thing, and I feel like for me okay, so love languages, the love languages.
Yes.
Okay, so physical touch, oh my God, words of affirmation, acts of service, what are the other ones? Like quality time.
Yes.
And then
Gifts.
Yeah. So it's like, to be interested sexually, for me, I have to have my love languages taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, like, I have to be engaged in that way.
Yes. Or it's not.
Or it's just not gonna.
I feel like it's that way for a lot of women too, though. Like, our emotional needs have to be met way before our physical needs when it comes to that. Especially, I feel like with a partner, someone you've been with for a significant amount of time. It's not just like a one night stand situation.
Yeah, it's not just lust.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
like once
more,
you're past that point,
Right. And so, yeah, I definitely have to have emotional needs met. So if you're like emotionally, whoever you're with is emotionally absent, or if hell you're emotionally absent and you can't get it together, with yourself, I mean, yeah, there is a sex drive.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yep. Or if you just like are overwhelmed mentally with life, I mean, that's gonna kill it.
Yes.
Because how are you supposed to not think about 1,000, other things to only focus on getting hot and bothered?
Mm-hmm. Or at like what point are men sat down and talked to you about how to please a woman?
Yeah.
Because they don't know what our bodies feel like,
Right.
I mean, and they know based off what they're going off of, and typically that's things like porn.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a very dramatic version of what it looks like.
Not factual.
But like most men in the age range of the adults now, they didn't sit down and have a talk with their sons about, oh, this is how you treat a woman. You make sure that she's taken care of. Like, these things are important to have good sex life. It's just like, it's almost like selfish, but like in some ways I'm like, can I blame them if they don't know,
Right.
But also educate yourself because you are doing this with another person.
Yeah. Which that makes me think too about like when people are like, oh, well, just tell them what you want. You just got to tell them what you want. And I'm like, you want me to talk about that?
I have anxiety. Thank you.
Here goes the anxiety.
And we are triggered.
And I'm back.
And we're back.
Exactly. Oh God.
100%.
Yeah. Like just tell him. I'm like, oh God.
We were together like 8 years before we like fully started talking about what we both
yeah.
really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And it was like uncomfortable almost for both of us because it was
Yeah.
like, how do we do
Right.
this tango
Right.
right
Right.
now? It didn't make
exactly.
sense.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. And like I feel like that's the case with a lot of women because if you're like, okay, I'm gonna have sex, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be great, So what if I orgasm? It's fine,
Yeah,
Like
we're straight.
we're good. Are we good?
No,
We're not good.
we're not doing well.
No, no. And like I definitely think that's a taboo thing for women to be like, I don't reach ultimate climax, if someone says that, I mean,
Yeah.
that's very taboo. I mean, to admit,
And
I
but
think,
when most women don't. And
yeah,
that's like proven that most women actually don't
yeah,
during intercourse.
yeah, yeah.
And that is so crazy to me because so many women, I feel like a lot of women do like fib about
Yeah,
it, you know? I mean, I've
absolutely. Oh
definitely
my gosh,
because you never
hello.
want to tell somebody that didn't happen
Right,
that you
right,
are intimate with that you want to
right, right,
you don't want to offend them, so now you're just trying
right.
to like
In the I can be brutally honest, and if I am brutally honest in the moment, then that makes for a real awkward time. If that's the
yes.
truth, I was like,
It's like you want me to burn this place down
oh
real quick
boy.
because I'm just going to be quiet.
But we're cool. Like, let's be cool.
Yeah, but it's cool. Like I'm not upset
Yeah, it's
about it.
fine.
But I think that's where their head goes though, is like, oh my God, she's
I
upset now
know.
about it. But I'm really not. It's just like this is the reality
It's
of
just,
what this looks like for
yeah,
me
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yep. So, I mean, not every time is a home run. Let's be
Yeah.
honest here.
I
Yeah.
don't think it ever will be every single time, but I
No.
think
Yeah.
that maybe focusing more on that female pleasure is a thing and that it
Yeah.
is different than what you see in movies or see
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
adult films.
Right. Right. And this is so funny, but I can't remember. I think it might have been a Christmas gift. I'm not sure, but I gave my friends all vibrators.
I love this.
I was like,
I love this so much.
"You're welcome."
You're welcome. That's a great friend gift,
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm like it works. Like
It works and it's going to be a
it
great
works.
time for
You'll
you.
be thanking me.
I will continue to be your best
Right,
friend.
exactly. This
Thank
is
me
a act
later.
of love.
Yes. Good gift. I'm writing that down on my list
Yeah.
of gifts. That is a good one, honestly.
Oh.
Let's talk about mental and physical health
Mm,
for women specifically.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we touched on mental health
Yeah, we
pretty
did.
hardcore, but like with physical health, I mean, uh, I think it can go okay, for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm not that physically healthy. I mean, like I take care of myself, but I could
Yeah.
probably do a
We're trying
better
to drink our
job.
water.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's my goal.
Yes. You're doing
Stay
good.
hydrated. But, like getting out and doing things, like working out, and I mean, it's a struggle to get fired up to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It truly is. Honestly, I've been telling myself for
Yeah.
like 6 months I was going to start like lifting weights or
Oh,
something, and like here I am. But I
yeah.
am about to start doing it a couple of days a week at home because I feel like,
Yeah.
home is my safe
More
place.
approachable.
Yes, more
Yeah.
approachable,
Yeah.
more comfortable. I like doing things in the comfort of my home.
Yeah,
It's
me
just who I
too.
am as a
I don't
person.
like people watching me work out.
I don't either.
It
And
makes
the
me feel
gym
weird.
kind of scares me just a little
It
bit.
freaks me out too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't like wear like, I don't know how people go to the gym and put both their headphones on.
No.
I couldn't do it because I'd have so much
Panic.
anxiety.
Yep.
Somebody's going to come up behind me,
Yep.
snatch me.
Yep. Who knows?
Or what if I'm in somebody's way and I don't know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's like a reality for me. Like, what if someone's
No,
trying to
it's
ask me a
true.
question? I don't
Yeah.
hear them. They think I'm an asshole.
Right.
Like,
Right.
even though they can probably clearly see, I can't hear
Exactly.
them. That's how my brain works.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yep. So it's like, and it's hard to take accountability and be like, okay, well, I don't want to work out unless I'm working out with somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's also a thing, too, that, like, if you don't want to go to the gym and working out is not your thing,
that's fine.
that's okay. Like,
Yes.
you don't have to do that. I used to
Right.
think that, like, I had to do all of these things, or people thought I was like a lazy piece of shit. And in
Mm,
reality, no one gave a fuck if I went to the gym or
yeah,
didn't go to the gym.
this is true.
Why does anybody care?
Yeah, this is very true.
But my head tells me everybody
Everyone
cares.
fucking
Or
cares.
you get on social media and someone posted their gym pic. I'm like, oh,
Oh
she's
God.
clearly telling me I need to go
I
to the
know,
gym.
I
But like,
know.
no, she's
I
not.
want a
She's just
belfie. I need to take pictures of my butt.
right.
You
She's
know?
just proud of herself. Like, I'm proud of her too. You go,
Yeah,
Glen Coco.
get it, girl. You know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's true though. And I feel like physical health does definitely play a part in your mental health. And I think you should take care of yourself. But I think that for me, I had to take care of my mental health before I could even start
Yeah,
thinking about my physical health. Like
yeah,
now, going on a walk, it seems like a good, enjoyable time. But
right.
3 months ago, going on a walk kind of made me want to have a panic attack before
Yeah,
I even walked out the door.
right. Yeah,
And so, working on my mental health to get to this place, I'm like, okay, well, I could start, doing this or that 2 or 3 days a week at home, something small to commit to at
yeah.
first,
Small
because let's
commitments.
not set unrealistic goals in the
No.
beginning, because if I don't meet them, I'll be too hard on myself.
And that's depressing.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
then again, like that's me being honest with myself that I'm not committing to 7 days a week in the
right.
off the jump because I won't go after that first 7 days. Like
Mm-mm.
I'll experience massive burnout
Yep,
and then my brain will say, this is not safe space.
yep,
Goodbye.
yep. Guilt,
Yes.
too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Let's talk about feelings of shame amongst women. I feel like this is such a thing. Such a thing. And I feel like we've covered it a lot on all of these topics, really, like feeling shame over our sexuality, feeling shame over not going to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
not really knowing about hair. Like, I feel like shame just really,
It's pretty thick.
it is.
Yeah.
It's so thick and it goes so well with everything,
Everything.
unfortunately.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Feeling subpar,
Yeah,
which sucks. Like, we should never feel like that. Of course, it's gonna happen.
right.
Yeah, yeah. But it makes you wonder, like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like,
Who set this standard?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
we need to
exactly.
chat.
Right, right, exactly.
I feel like that is a thing too, though. Like the standard for what you should feel shame for
Mm-hmm.
and how that's built up in all of our heads and
Yeah,
where that stems from too, because I feel like if we really all digged deep into like our core belief systems and where we come from and the years of learning that we did for our developing brains in our
yeah,
first, 15 to 20 years of life,
yeah.
like all of that still affects us now.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
we're just continually covering things up and not
Yep.
unwrapping these things, putting them in a box somewhere far buried.
Yep. Oh, I'm great at burying.
Ooh, me too,
I'm
girl.
so good at that. Oh.
Put stuff in a locked
Yep.
closet.
Yep. I put it in
We
my
don't
brain
need
bank.
her.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Lock the key. No, anybody who thinks that the past doesn't affect their present is not there. That's not true.
Yeah, and then I feel like that eats so much into it. And especially if
Mm-hmm.
you're not correlating it in your brain, then you start to think that these new things that are happening are actually the source of your
Of
whole
the
problem.
right,
And it's
right.
really
It's
not.
really
Like
not. Yeah, there's a lot
could be that
more.
time your mom said something to you about shapewear,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now
Boom.
boom, here
Yeah.
we are 15 years later
Exactly.
and
Right.
we're having this same feeling
Still a yep.
all because
Mm-hmm.
of that.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, it's crazy.
And I was reading this quote the other day and it was talking about parents and kids and how they see situations differently.
Mm.
And it was talking about how like for your mom when she said that could have just been a random Tuesday for her. But for
Yeah.
you, that was everything. That changed the course of your life and how you feel about yourself from that point forward and how much weight your words carry in
Yes.
those moments. But
Yes.
again, like thinking of it from the mother's perspective, this is just a random Tuesday
That's
for
it.
her,
That's it.
an
Yeah.
uneducated random Tuesday for
Right.
her.
Right. And it's kind of sad too. Like my mom when she was younger, she had an eating disorder. So, like passing out, like wouldn't eat and would pass out. And so like knowing that once I got older, I'm like okay, this makes sense. Like someone who's so concerned with their body, of course,
Yes.
like that's going to translate over For
She was
sure.
projecting that onto you
Yeah.
because she felt that way about herself.
Yep.
Oh, wow, that's so deep.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how deep these things are, like how deep rooted it is.
And I mean, even now, like, I'm like, what was it? I think she's now a size 4. She's 5'9". She's a size 4. I'm like, you're little bitty, mama. You're little
You are
bitty.
small.
You're little bitty. And I'm over here like, not a size 4. And whatever, like, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that, whatever. But,
Look amazing, by the way.
I, it is what it is.
Yes.
But yeah, like hearing her rant about being a size 4 when she was a size 2. Like it's like what the hell? Like it didn't go away for her,
Yeah.
like the feeling of shame, what you gained a couple pounds. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Like she got what she wanted, but it still was never enough
Right.
because her headspace was still never right
Right.
about the situation to begin with.
Yeah.
That like breaks my heart. And
Mhm.
how many women struggle with that still,
Oh,
like
yeah.
so many. Most women,
Most, yeah.
like 95%
Yeah. Yeah.
at least.
Mhm.
Every single woman that I've seen over at 1,500 clients at this point. Like every single woman has something about them that they
Yeah.
don't love or they pick apart or
Mhm.
it scares them. They have shame over it. And it's like, I want to be like, who hurt you? Like, let's
Right.
talk about it
Right.
because like that wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I want to uncover this for you and let you know like how beautiful you are and how like
Yeah.
the rest of the world looks at you because
Right.
you are a fox,
Which is so huge. Yeah. That's so huge. It's an awakening. It really is.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I love what I do,
I mean,
seriously.
of course. How could you not?
I was
It's amazing.
I was editing pictures earlier today and I was on the phone with my mom and I was just talking to her and I was like, I just love my job. Like
Mm.
I know that when I deliver these pictures I'm editing right now, that this who I was talking about the person I was editing, I was like, she's going to love these. Like she is
Yeah.
going to, really fall out over her pictures. And just knowing that, like, brings me so much joy and comfort because I'm like, I can do
Mm-hmm.
this for people because we don't see ourselves like this
No.
enough. We don't understand who we are enough.
Mm-mm.
And it's just we got to get this shame out of here.
Yeah.
I don't want to cover it up. I don't want to smooth past it, but
Right.
I want us to be able to, heal from it and move forward from it because that's why I do what I
That's
do so
right.
that we can love our bodies
Yeah.
shamelessly.
Shamelessly. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
We are beautifully bare.
We are.
Yes. Yes. I love that so much. All right. Well, it's been so great
Yeah,
talking to
it's
you.
been
I love
fun.
that you came on the podcast. It's
Me
been amazing.
too.
And we thank you guys so much for listening, for all of your time, support, and love. Thank you for watching the Beautifully Bare podcast.